No, you don't have to duck. Oh, you're fine.
Alright, so we're going to say our traditional Catholic prayer. If you're not Catholic, just fake it like most Catholics do. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Bless us, O Lord. Please thy gifts we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. Father, Son.
All right, go ahead and eat, please. We have some conflicts, so they need to get going, earlier than this would probably get over. So that's understandable with everybody's schedules here in the spring. But T. Gary here will talk first about our JV team.
Okay, first thing I got down there was the year of the COVID-19. I think really we were very lucky to have a season because at one point it didn't even look like we might even have a season. So I'm really happy we were able to have a season, even though I missed the first 6 games because I did get COVID, and it was probably 7 weeks before I was even close to being back to really feeling normal. So it's not something to take lightly. It's really a serious thing. The JV team, let's see. The next thing I guess I've got down is Coach Heidoff coached the first 6 JV games, and then I sat and watched him coach the game and learned how he did it so well. And then I coached the last 8 JV games because Coach Heidoff got COVID at that point. So it was pretty unusual year. The JV season was very good, 10-5 overall. Coach Heidoff's record was 5-2, and mine was 5-3. He always likes to do one better than me. But I think that's an excellent season in the Hawk 10. It's a very tough conference we're in. So this team was a great team to coach. Everybody gave great effort, and they have actual great ability, and they have great attitude. So it makes a really fun team to coach. I told the team we wanted to have a goal of scoring 70, and in scoring 70, I felt like we would probably win most every game. And I also said we wanted Missy to score 30 each game, and we wanted, when Lena was playing JV ball, for her to score 20 because she didn't get to play as many quarters. Now, Missy did score 25 in one game, and Lena did score 21 in one game. And we won both those games. But we also scored 61-61, and then we had 59 against Harlan and got beaten in overtime. Then we scored 62 and then 61. So we were close to 70. We never quite got there. Then we had a 37-35 win over Atlantic, and we were behind the whole game. Won it right at the end. And then the last 2 games of the year, we scored 32 and 33, and guess what? We lost those games. So when you score 70 and you have people scoring close to 30 points, it makes it very easy to win. I've got a little story here I want to read real quick, and this is basically for the freshmen because the rest of you have heard it. But this story is about 4 St. Albert girls basketball players named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was important summer practice work to be done before the next season. Everybody was out. Everybody was sure somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got mad because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. Everybody do your share this summer to get ready for next season. So I think there's a lot of work that we can get done, and hopefully this summer will be easier to get in the gym than it was last summer. The other thing I've got down, I think St. Albert girls basketball looks very good for the next few years. So make it happen, ladies. You've got to practice to make it happen. And the last thing I've got down, JV, it was a really fun season. Thank you very much.
I will echo what he started with, and that is, we've never ever, none of us have ever seen a year like we've had here in the past year. So just a lot of unknowns this year, and just crazy things to work through. And I think we all did a great job, working through it the way that we did. And for us to have a season, I think that was just pretty special, because if you remember a year ago, those spring sports people, they were awfully upset about what was happening in their world at that time. So just really glad that we're able to end up having a season this year, and really glad too that spring sports here, you're getting your start today or last week, and very happy for you that you get to experience that this year. Have a lot of thank yous I want to go through first. Lisa Roslonik, she's at a tryout tonight at OSA with the young ones, so she's not here, but sure do want to thank her for all that she does, especially with our clothing and apparel and all that stuff. She works really hard at it and does a great job. Callie Petrie, all the work that you've done, especially with all the food and all that planning and stuff for the year. That's a lot of work, and appreciate everything that was done that way. Jeremy, did you have a hand in that too?
I picked up twice.
Chris Williams, again, just all the photography that he does is phenomenal. Just providing all the pictures and stuff, just really special to have somebody with the skill to be able to do that. Gary Petrie, again, driving the bus for our junior high kids. It's really appreciated, for them to be able to practice where they do down at the field house, and just really appreciate his time that he spends doing that for us. Paul Cox, again, junior high coach, spends a lot of time doing that, and then also volunteers and does all that work, on the scorekeeping end for us. So that's really appreciated what he does. And then his counterpart, Ken Meschling, with the clock, not an easy duty, and he's been doing that for many, many years now. Just appreciate all his effort. Nick Finken with our Jenny Ed sports team does a great job. Appreciate everything that he's done for us. Charlie Narmy supports us in a lot of ways you don't realize, and they provide a lot for our program, and just want to publicly thank him and Melissa for all that they do for us. The Hideoffs again on the huddle end. He gets stuck, doing a lot of that preparation, and Joyce kind of is his wingman, and helps a lot with that. So thank them for all that they do. Bobby Rice, where's Bobby at? There he is. Just a tremendous job. What he does for us in the strength and conditioning area, and that's only part of it too. It's a lot of it is mental preparation that he does, and not just during our school year and during our season, but he also does it a lot for us in the summer, and all that preparation is really appreciated, and I know we would be where we are without his help, because it is really, really vital, and it's a really big piece of our program. So thank you for all the work that you do there, Bobby. Parents, you had a lot of different things to work through, so I just really appreciate all that you did for us this year, not just in driving to the games, but just all the COVID protocol and everything that you kind of had to work through that way this year. Really appreciate you know, the care and the carefulness that you took with your kids. You know, I thought we were very fortunate this year and really just had one person on our team contacted during the year, and then you know, had a couple that had some moments where they had siblings or people they know that had to end up sitting out. But you know, I thought we were very fortunate because there were some teams that it hit a heck of a lot harder than ours. But part of that is due to the process and what you guys did, not only at home, but the way, you know, our school handled it and the way our team handled it. You know, just to be able to start out with the mass and practice of those, that was, you know, not everybody started that way, but our girls accepted that from the start, and I think it really paid dividends in the end. Katie Grudel and then Ken Schreiber for all their help, and, you know, especially like, you know, in some of those protocols, again, dealing with COVID. I know there's a couple times I had to get on the phone some mornings and talk with, you know, the public health department, kind of working through situations. You know, and Katie's really on the front lines of that, and just really appreciate everything that she did that way with our school and our program. And then just all the coaches in our program, not just these two guys, but thank all of our coaches, you know, all the way down to the PAL League. A lot of our program this year, we ended up going into the OSA leagues because the PAL League, it just didn't work out well with the number of teams that didn't play, and just the number of teams that were willing to play, and the number of teams that said they wouldn't play anybody that wasn't wearing a mask, and it just went on and on. So we ended up doing a lot with the OSA this year with our youth leagues, and I think for the most part that went pretty well. The freshman girls, you guys that really didn't suit up varsity, just really would like to thank you for all of the efforts that you guys provided, you know, especially at our varsity games with filming and with taking stats and just all the support that you gave our varsity. It's, you know, really appreciate it for all the work that you guys have done. Some of our season highlights this year, you know, when I think about it, you go back all the way to last spring when this all started about a year ago, and, you know, it wasn't very long. We realized that the impact was going to be pretty serious and we were going to be out of school for a while. You know, we started, if you remember, a lot of Zoom meetings, and we spent a lot of time just, you know, with everybody in our program, just trying to meet and check in on them and see how things were doing, or how they were doing, how things were going for them. So, you know, it definitely had an impact just on our ability to communicate and you know, and just to check and see how the girls were doing. We really didn't get started until July. You know, that's when we got the okay to, you know, be able to start any kind of workouts and stuff, and that's, you know, really a good full month later than we normally do. And, you know, everybody was in the same boat, so our opponents kind of faced the same thing. And, you know, we chose, because we weren't really certain about, you know, COVID-19 and everything, we really chose not to do any summer tournaments and to do any leagues and that kind of stuff, which, you know, a few of them did start. And I know some local schools that did, you know, participate in that stuff. And I think that did have a little bit of impact on us for this year because, you know, we had a lot of uncertainty coming in then into the year. You know, you'd be surprised in the summertime how much, you know, when you are being able to play games, whether they're scrimmages against teams, you know, like we've done in the past with AHST especially, or some other schools, Wahoo Newman being one, we've been able to get together with some schools and do some scrimmaging or do some league type stuff or tournament type stuff. And not to be able to have that, I think, really did have an impact on our year this year a little bit. So that was tough because you don't really know coming in. There's a lot of uncertainty, you know, with how things are going to go. Having two starters back, really, you know, off the varsity, and then, you know, trying to figure out who's going to fill in what positions, and really didn't have a lot of girls with a lot of minutes on the floor, from the year before. So we knew that we were going to be young and inexperienced in a lot of ways with some of that, and we're going to see some growing pains with it. So, in terms of our season, to end up what I thought growing pretty well by the end of the year was a good positive thing. Ending up for the season 10-13, we were 4-6 in the Hawk 10. For the year, we outscored our opponents. Even though we were 10-13, we did have more points than what we gave up. We actually, as a team, out-rebounded opponents pretty well by about 3.5 a game. So that was a really nice stat to see. We also had more assists, about 2.5 a game than our opponents. So there were some real positive signs I think you can take away from the season. One stat that I wasn't crazy about that ended up kind of being a thorn in our side was our turnovers. We did have a lot more turnovers than our opponents, and that's something that we just got to keep getting better at. But, when you think about it, early in the season, we weren't real lucky with a couple games, and sometimes when you can get some wins early, it really builds your confidence more. So like going toe-to-toe with Harlan right off the bat and really having him down in the fourth quarter, but just not quite pulling it out. And the same thing really with Lewis Central. Those would have been huge if we could have won those in terms of confidence and stuff for this group, but it just didn't happen. So, we worked our way through that, and I thought we had some good wins. Really good close games that we won, over Kemper, and then the one game that we played at Atlantic at home early in the year, both the Kemper and the Atlantic game came down to the last shot, and both their teams had an opportunity to beat us with the last shot but didn't pull it off. So, I thought those were two great wins. And then you look at some of the other teams that we did beat this year, really convincing wins at times. And I think that speaks a lot to the depth that this team had. In other words, if you go down deeper into your bench and they're getting some minutes to beat a team by 30 or 40 or 45 points, that's showing that you have a little bit more depth, that those kids are coming in are pretty capable players and capable of scoring and that kind of stuff. So we had some really nice wins that way too. I think arguably you'd probably say that Atlantic game at Atlantic late in the year was probably our best game of the year. All right, we just really were hitting on all cylinders that night. Kenna had her career night that night with 19 points, and I don't know how, probably double-figure assists. So it was just a great night, with the exception of somebody getting hurt. And that ended up hurting us a little bit for a couple games, but I thought the girls did a great job kind of fighting back from that and finishing the season strong. And I guess what I'm referring there, really is to our regional run once we started regionals and got 3 wins on the road, which is not easy to do, and then to be able to get to that regional championship game. And somebody please tell me, how we were tied at 36-36 with about 3.5 minutes to go and had the tough luck that we had in that game. I've watched that game a couple times, and I still, it's just unbelievable that we were right there with them with 3.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. And then, they just really turned it against us there in that fourth quarter and about the last 3 minutes of that third quarter. But that was a pretty good team that we played that night. And, to have a chance, an opportunity in that game and be with them, against them that long, and have some of the bad misfortune that you had, I think it really speaks a lot about some of our other players, stepping up that night and playing really well. Some lessons from this year, okay? Two that I really think stand out. You're stronger than you think, and you have more in you than you know. And if you really think about what you went through in the past year, and I'm not just talking about our season, but I'm talking about with COVID and stuff, you are really stronger than you think. I mean, you're going to remember this year, the rest of your life, just some of the things that, how it affected you. And just to think about your resolve and your resiliency, how you supported each other, your positivity, your resourcefulness, your perseverance. There's a lot of good, qualities that you show as people and as a person. And I guess I'm not just referring to basketball, but you're a lot stronger than you think from what you've been through in the past year. And the second part there, you have more in you than you know. That's our job, is to try to pull that out of you. And, I'll give you an example of that. When we really started this year, I didn't think we were very good in practice defensively to start the year. And I thought as the year went on, we did get better in a lot of ways at that. But, I think it really showed how much better we got at it when we saw the first three opponents in regionals not even hit 40 points. I think that spoke a lot to, how much improvement that we showed in that end. So, just if you think about this year, it taught us, how to work together, how to persevere again, how to support each other, how to have fun. And you made a lot of good memories this year. So, I think overall there's a lot of good things that happened. I'm going to bring up our three freshmen first. So, Lilly and Ella and Missy, why don't you come on the front here? Yeah. I'm going to say this about all of our freshmen, so it'd be, not just these three, but the other 5 sitting here too. We have 8, and we've never had 8 freshmen in our program come in at the same time yet in our, 9 or 10 years we've been here. So first of all, that's a remarkable thing, a great thing to have happen in our program. All right, and I'm going to tell you, parents, that this is probably the most polite and thankful group I have ever seen in my life. And you have absolutely done a great job with your girls that way. And it's not just our freshmen that way, it's some of the older ones too. But they made sure every day after practice, you can't believe how they would tell us thank you every single day. And that really means a lot. So, thank you.
And they can all play too much.
No, they're not too bad. Lilly and Ella played in 12 of our 21 games this year, so I think those two learned an awful lot this year. It was kind of like early in the season, they were, kind of thrown into the hot seat a little bit. And I kind of get nervous about that a little bit, because what can happen with freshmen sometimes when you're playing at that varsity level is it's pretty easy to destroy confidence. And so I kind of made the decision, after a few games of playing them, I'd rather see them kind of grow and mature at that JV level a little bit than expose them and have their confidence shook, because it can really make an impact on a kid in the long run in their career. And so I kind of made a change there after a while and had them, just really concentrate more on the JV end. But at the end of the year again, I could see their confidence getting better and better as the season went on. And they did kind of get some more opportunities at the end of the year. And, really, the game that Lilly played in that last regional final against Kingsley, I'll tell you what, when I went down the bench after Kenna got her second foul, I said, Lilly, let's go. those eyes were like this big. I mean, they were big, Lilly. But you know what? She was ready, okay? And she showed it in that game. She played a great game. So, you know, a lot of growth from those two there, Ella and Lilly. Missy, kind of the same thing, you know, she was playing early a little bit, and I gave her kind of the same treatment, I guess you'd say it. I you know, concentrated more on the JV end, and then she really had some nice things going in the JV ball games, and I thought, you know, her confidence was getting better and better, so we brought her back up and got her some more varsity time, and she ends up being our third leading rebounder on the team. She ends up being on the KMA all-freshman team, all right, and that's quite a remarkable feat, you know, to be named that through KMA. But the other thing I'll say about Missy is this. I have very rarely seen a girl who really, really works every single day like Missy does. She brings her A effort about every single day. And that's going to make her a great player in the long run. So, good job. All right, you guys can have a seat. Let's bring up our sophomores. We just have two of them left. Landry is one of them that had to leave early. You saw her take off. She had a conflict, and Lauren had a conflict tonight. So we'll get through these sophomores. So Carly ends up being, again, what I would call our little sharpshooter. Really like, you know, what she brings, especially, you know, I don't know if you pay attention to detail, like in terms of playing time and stuff like that, but especially against zone, I have a lot of confidence in her, you know, trying to beat a zone. So she is a really gritty little player, a lot of heart, a little fighter, and she's got some good years ahead of her. Lena, very, very athletic player. Best game I thought all year was against Kemper. She made some outstanding plays in that game against Kemper, and I don't think we would have won without some of her contribution there. She's getting a lot closer. You know, we're trying to match her athleticism with what we think she's capable, you know, out on the floor. And I know she's going to put in a good summer to try to make that, you know, more possible. She hasn't really played basketball as long as some of the other girls have. And I think that makes a big difference. But she's getting closer, and we're really looking forward to, you know, some good years with all of these girls. You know, I would say one thing too, you see a little bit of chemistry, like, it's really noticeable, like on the floor, when Ella and Lilly are on the floor together, there's a little bit of chemistry between them. You can kind of see it in the way that they play. And we're going to try to get that chemistry, and we've been trying to sell that between Missy and Lena, you know, because if we can get that going, we're going to see some real special things going, you know, in the future. So, and then the last one is Landry, who did have to leave, but you know, she has what I would consider a great floor presence. You know, she understands and thinks the game real well. Good three-point shooter, capable of taking it to the basket, so she offers a lot for us too. And we always like, you know, the fact that, you know, a lot of these girls are multi-sport athletes, and I think that translates into, you know, a lot of good, successful things being transferred from one sport to the other. So thank you, girls. Okay. Bring up our juniors. Again, Lauren wasn't able to make it. She had kind of a late conflict come up, so I'll kind of talk about her first. Lauren led us in steals this year. That was kind of her forte, I would say. It's just her length and how she could steal the ball. A lot of times, you know, I would put Lauren against what I would consider like the opponent's best guard, and we would kind of just have her face guard and try not to let that person catch or touch the ball. And I thought she did a pretty darn good job of doing that all year. You know, you might be surprised that Lauren was second in our team in assists, okay, which, you know, a lot of people may not have expected that, but she actually was second on our team in assists. And she was our second leading scorer at 9.5 points a game. And Lauren ended up being third in the Hawkeye 10 with steals, so that's a pretty good accomplishment too. Brenna Smith, not a lot of game time this year at the varsity level. Her concentration was more at the JV level, but we asked a lot from her in practice, and you know, I thought she did a great job for us. You know, just being what I would call a heady or a good practice player. There were days where we would have her kind of do what we have Lauren do to opponents, you know. We might have her guard an alley, you know, and face garden and that kind of stuff. There was a lot of days, I hate to say it, we had to put her against Missy, and that's not a fun assignment because, you know, she's always got to defend something that's up there really high, and our girls are doing a better job of getting Missy the ball up there, and that was tough for Brenna. But, you know, Brenna is she's a worker bee. You know, that's what I would call her. She shows up every day, has a great attitude every day, and never complains, just does her job. And hopefully next year, Brenna, that'll translate into some growth for you. Ava Hughes, another one I would say with a great attitude. She has a really, how would I phrase it? She's just a really good listener, is probably the way I would say it. She, great eye contact with you when you're telling her something. She's really focused on what you're saying and trying to understand what you're trying to get her to do. And that really helps her, you know, in her game. She's one of her better listeners. And, you know, I think that translated there kind of in the middle to late part of the year where she got some minutes and got some playing time in some big games. I especially remember the trainer game, putting her in there down at the MAC and you know, seeing some valuable minutes. So hopefully that will pay off for you next year too. Pearl, all right. What a game she had in our regional final against Kingsley Pearson, 22 points, and just played her little heart out. That was one of the best games that I'd seen her play offensively. For the year, she led us in three-pointers. She had 37 for the year and a very respectable 33%. And that's, you know, where you want to be in terms of a three-point shooter. She was our third leading scorer, just over 8 points a game, and our best free throw shooter percentage-wise. So just a lot of growth in her game this year, you know, coming in and starting. And she's one that, you know, really is what I would kind of consider a gym rat. She spends a lot of time, you know, playing on her own and, you know, calling Sarah Goodwin up and trying to get Sarah to come in and work her out and that kind of stuff. So that's going to pay off for her again coming back next year. And then our last junior there is Ellison Army. And she would be what I would call our glue player. You know, when you look about a team and you got to have that member of that group out there on the floor that kind of does your dirty work, stuff that, you know, isn't really statted, it gets noticed at times, but she's that kind of a player. She's just a tough physical player. I would say probably one of our most physical players. You don't notice it at times, but she really is. She was our second leading rebounder with 124 on the year, which is about 5.5 a game. She also got a lot of times the matchup in terms of the post, where I would have enough confidence to have her defend the other team's best post player. So she would always kind of be going against, you know, that scorer inside that, you know, was a pretty darn good post player. When you think about a Denison or some of those teams that we're playing, you know, they have some really good posts. So very consistent play this year. I thought she did a great job. One of our, you know, tougher players. And I really think our team did a great job this year in their selection. We give out 2 awards. And the one award that I'll present does go to Allison Army, and that's our Sportsmanship Award. So congratulations on that. There you go. Thank you very much. Good job. All right, our 2 little seniors. 2 mighty ones, you know, you didn't have a lot in that senior class, but they are 2 pretty darn good players. Kenna ends up leading the Hawkeye 10 in assists for the year. That's a darn good feat, all right, to be able to do that. She had 113 assists for the year, and that was just under 5 a game. And then, you know, when you look at career stats, Kenna ends up with 263 career assists, which translates to 2nd best all time. So that's also a very remarkable feat to be able to do that as a point guard. She, I heard that comment. Grade school coach. All right. Obviously, I think her best game this year was that Atlantic game I mentioned earlier. 19 points, several assists. Just, I don't think we've ever seen her shoot the 3 any better than she did that game. I know Coach remarks about the opposing coach in a radio interview after the game saying, you know, we scouted, we saw the stats, where did that come from? You know, she did it that night, so it counted. So that's what really counts. Just a really tough matchup for opponents to try to guard her. If you notice, you know, a lot of times this year we didn't get pressed, and she's the reason why, you know, because she would make them pay by getting down that court and creating some easy baskets. And, you know, that may change next year a little bit. You may see a little bit more press, but, you know, I think they really are, I think our opponents, especially in the Hawk 10, really respected, you know, what she could do. And it goes to show you too, you know, like a coach, not to knock anybody, but a coach that's not as familiar with us, like a Fremont Mills, came out and pressed us. Well, that didn't work too well for him, you know, so she made him pay that night. Kenna ends up honorable mention in the Hawkeye 10, and she was all-regional on the all-regional team in the IBCA. So great career from you, Kenna. Allie Petrie. Allie Petrie, despite missing 5 games this year for us, still led us in scoring and in rebounding. She ended up in her career 8th all-time in Saints scoring with 882 points, which is a great feat because you consider she really played her sophomore year, her junior year, and 18 out of 23 games this year. You know, so to have that stat with, you know, what I would consider a little bit of limited time, that's really a remarkable stat. She also averaged over 7 rebounds a game for us this year, so that's also a great stat. Allie was 4th in field goal percentage in the Hawk 10. You know, so efficiency down there in the area that she was shooting from is always a great thing. She was a first-team Hawk 10 player 2 years, so last year and this year. She's also on the all-regional team, and that would be from the Girls Coaches Association and the boys, what they call the IGCA and the IBCA. She made the all-regional team on both. She was a 2nd-team All-State player for the IGCA, She was a third-team All-State player from the Print Sports Writers Association, so the IPSWA, which would have been the old Associated Press is what it was. And then Allie also made the IBCA All-Star Game, which will be played in April, and I think it's played in Cedar Rapids, is that right? So she'll represent us there, which, you know, that's also a great honor. We haven't had, you know, a lot of girls over the years. Just recently, I know I can think of Kylie Ferguson and I don't know, did Paige or Alyssa make that? I don't know. And Bailey White played in one of the All-Star games. There's, you know, each group has their own All-Star game, so that's quite an honor to make that. And then another stat that is really tells, I think, a lot about her and her ability and her really dedication to the team. She led us in charges taken this year. She had 12 for the year, so that was just kind of under what Veronica had for us last year. So, you know, that's not easy to put yourself in front of people when they're coming at you hard with basketball. But, you know, she was, again, very team-oriented to be able to do that. In terms of our next award, okay, again, I thought the girls did an outstanding job. We let the team vote on our team awards, and the coaches have some input on that. But the girls voted, you know, a sportsmanship winner with Allie, and then we also have an MVP. And I think with these two, it's very fitting. They each had so much that they offered, and it was different. You know, one was kind of the ball handler, and one was kind of our scorer and rebounder. But they actually tied in the voting. So we have a split award. Something is also the beginning of something else. All right, so, you know, here we are saying goodbye to, you know, two seniors and very special seniors. You know, they're going to actually be headed to some great places next year in each one of their sports that they're going to be playing. And, you know, I know they're going to have a room full here of followers, kind of, you know, following what they do, and a lot of support from St. Albert toward them. We wish them nothing but the best, and look forward to what's next for them. And the same is true really for the 16 girls that we should have returning next year. All right, out of our 18 girls, we'll have 16 returning. And you know, it's the end of this year, but you know, it's also the beginning of the next year. And you know, like Coach said earlier, you're not going to get any better unless you do put some time in and practice and make yourself better. So, you know, we're looking forward. I think we have the components to do some really special things in the next couple of years. Having really a lot more back in terms of varsity time coming back next year is really going to help us. You know, this year it was really those two had kind of had all the experience, and coming back next year we're going to see a lot more experience on the floor. So that'll be exciting for us. You know, cherish this time that you had. I think the girls really cherish the fact that they got to have a season this year. But also realize, you know, what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve for next year, and you know, really try to work hard at you know, trying to make those things happen. You know, I think in one respect, you know, having 16 back, the competition is going to be fierce then, all right, which is a good thing for us. You know, I know we have some that are kind of signed up and are going to kind of go into select and club team ball, and I think that's going to help them tremendously. You know, we're going to start some skill sessions for them. I was telling the girls today after pictures, we do have, some skill sessions coming up, and we're gonna try to do some. I know, with spring schedules it gets tough, but I have some guys from OSA that are actually gonna, kind of be interested in helping. We're actually gonna try to get something going this week. I know we're not supposed to really, and it's not really, it is, but it isn't school related, but we do have something that we can offer Wednesday if they're interested in getting in the gym and working on some shooting and some post type work. So that's something that we're going to try to offer, but I think this will be the only week that does fall on Wednesday. I think the rest of them are going to fall on, we'll try to look at the spring schedule and see, when we can get it. And again, I'm not doing any of that coaching in that. This is some OSA people that are interested in helping us. I know we had a couple of the bigger girls last week try out for some OSA, and they, those coaches over there were really talking some good things about those two, and I know, some of them are really interested in trying to help them in their improvement stuff over the summer, so that's also good to see. Again, thanks for everything that you guys have done. Thanks for persevering this year. It wasn't an easy year that way. One last thing too, before I forget, the girls, and all of those things that you have, I know Kenneth, you and Allie didn't get it, but on the other ones, there is a player self-evaluation form at the end of the packet. So one thing I'd like the younger girls, the ones who are returning, to do is to kind of just go through and do a self-evaluation if you could. Some of it's a little hard to read. If you just focus on it, you can kind of see it. Go through that, and then sometime I'd like to kind of go through that evaluation form with you, and kind of give you an idea where you're at, maybe what you need to do, to help yourself for the next year. So, anything else? Thank you very much, you guys.
We just want to say thanks to the coaches for coaching us for the past few years. They're the best. Yep.
In terms of cleanup, you guys, if we could do this, they just directed us, there is a trash container over there, so maybe if you want to get your stuff that way, and we just have to kind of